Can I just tell you what a great place I'm in right now, because I just had the most magnificent Ruby Murray. I'm in the Villa black strip, earning them 9 points away from home this season, and the transfer window is wide open, and the winds of speculation are whipping around while you can almost smell the stench of dodgy in-the-know accounts. You can almost hear the medicals being booked at Bodymore Heath. And everybody always wants to talk about players. Oh, which players are Villa getting? Who are they going after? I don't want to talk about players. I want to talk about positions, because strategic football clubs target positions within their system, and they'll have criteria for each. And to help me do that today, I'm going to welcome this show's first ever guest, who's a huge Villa fan, also a Marseille fan. So he has a thing or two to say about Morgan Sanson. I suggest you grab something tasty to drink, maybe a Dalmore 12, and let's get busy. Very nice to have you back in the parlor. I love having you over. And let's not faff about. Let's get straight to it, because we have a lot to cover. The 3 positions to prioritize for Aston Villa this summer. And as I mentioned off the top, a strategic football club will identify areas in their system that if they upgrade, they will transform their team. So I want to talk about positions, not players. So the number 3 priority for me is an attacking left-sided player. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, geez, we already have one of those, and he's one of the best in the world at it in Jack Grealish. Well, let's go over to the Subbuteo board, and I want to show you why I think Jack is much better for Aston Villa as a number 10, which he played against both Chelsea and Tottenham to close the season. Here I have it set up like a 4-2-3-1, but it could be a 4-1-4-1 or a 4-3-3. So this position here, the left-sided attacking player, needs to have qualities like Jack Grealish, and obviously Grealish is excellent. But I still think he's better in here in creating problems for the opposition. Do you remember against Chelsea, Dean Smith decided he was going to go narrow at the back. He was going to tighten up the back 4 and say to Chelsea, you can have these wide areas, but try crossing into the box. We have 3 center backs and a goalkeeper that can win it. Now, Matt Targett was screaming continuously at Anwar El Ghazi because he was being overloaded and needed the help in these areas here. That's not in Anwar El Ghazi's DNA. It's not really in Jack's DNA either, if we're being honest. He'll do this work, but obviously he's better here and in an attacking phase. Now, the other thing about Jack Grealish playing here is for the opposition much easier to seal off. He's been doubled, tripled, quadrupled, but he always has one-man marker, the touchline, because he can't cross it this way. Even still, he does manage to get out of all that pressure and send Villa on their way going forward. But when he's in the middle of the park, it is much more difficult to double or triple him here because that will leave spaces. So whoever this player is must have it in their DNA to track back, work hard, but also have similar attacking qualities to Grealish. The second priority for me is an attacking right-sided player. And now you're thinking, Pete, you're just being greedy now. Well, let me explain as we go back to the Subbuteo board, but look at it from behind the goal. This player here, Villa has in the form of Bertrand Traore, great going forward, tricky, unpredictable. The one thing you have to say, though, is he willing to go and play all 3 of these positions or able to and track back similarly to the left side? Can this player support the right fullback in the overload situations and do the defensive duty? That has to be in their DNA. There's been a player, of course, heavily linked at this position, and he is able to play there, and there, is totally two-footed. He can combine with the midfield, but also pick out the long ball and the pass, and he can rampage forward, running with the ball at his feet. Now, imagine that on either side of Jack Grealish with the defensive responsibility. That is a miserable team to try to defend against. Now imagine for a moment Aston Villa gets that business done early and they do get 2 wide, dynamic attacking players to flank Jack Grealish and they can all interchange. What will that do to Bertrand Traore and Anwar El Ghazi? Do you think they'll come into camp with a bit between their teeth to make sure they hang on to the shirt? And will they work that little bit harder? And will they track back and be more conscientious defensively? That's how you make for a better squad and for better players. And my number one positional priority, an elite number 6, with the greatest respect to Marvelous Nakamba, who had wonderful spells during the season and lived up to his name, and Douglas Luiz, who helped save us 2 seasons ago by adopting and learning that position. An elite number 6 can totally change the risk-reward factor of Aston Villa as a transitional attacking unit. Let me explain. This player, whoever it may be, must be a high-volume, high-capacity player, a player that can cover an awful lot of ground. This is a 4-1-4-1, but again, these are just starting positions. It is this player's ability to not just hunt down and shield the back four and support the midfield. It's not just the side-to-side work of trying to keep attacking at bay from the opposition, but it's also the player that starts the attack. It's a player that invites and then evades the press, has the ability to play short and long, but it's also a player that, if good enough and elite, will allow the fullbacks to perhaps take some more risks going forward. It will allow Jack Grealish to maybe combine a little bit more with Ollie Watkins and stay forward. It may even help John McGinn. And his risk reward runs into the box to overload the box. It is such a crucial position. Finding that player will unlock Villa's full potential going forward. There you have my 3 positions of priority for Aston Villa's summer recruitment strategy, but the game is about opinions, and it's always nice to hear others and perspectives. And to help me do that, I'm pleased to welcome our first ever guest to the show. He's a television pundit, commentator, and analyst, and he's also, like us, a die-hard Aston Villa fan. Joining us from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, it's Kristian Jack.
Wow, Pete, great to be on. Absolute pleasure to see your face and to be on talking about the mighty Villa. Well, I was born into Villa. I was born in Edgbaston, Birmingham. So my parents were Villa fans on the Holt End way before they ever dreamed of having someone like me. So yeah, it was it was just easy for me. Everybody was a Villa fan, cousins, aunts, uncles. Thankfully, they selected the right club in Birmingham and not the blue side playing at Legoland.
And through good parenting, your lovely son, Evan, now bang into it, whereas my son, the 11-year-old, became a Chelsea fan. So,
oh, Pete. Oh, well. Yeah, that's not good. No, Evan's bang into it. He's been to Villa Park, not for a game yet, but he's got his shirt, he's got his name on the back. And, he's, at that age, they're into a lot of different things. He likes to watch other players. He likes Aguero and a few other guys, but no, it's Villa first. So, we got to keep him that way as much as we can. So I'm still holding out hope for your son.
Well, I haven't spoken to him since, so I don't know how he's doing. But anyway, so I've tasked you with the job of identifying the 3 priority positions that will take Don Smith's tricky villains into a European adventure a year from now, going from 3 to 1.
Okay, so let's go with a wide player again, somebody who I think can score goals, can play out wide, a little bit better than an El Ghazi and a Trezeguet kind of player. Do you know what I mean? A player that I think is potentially can get to the heights of Traore, but even like a younger player that can be maybe one day a star in the Premier League. I think Villa are at that point now where they've offloaded quite a lot of players on, inflated wages, and that we're seeing less and less of those players that were the good old souls. They did the job in the Championship. They got us where we needed to do, but the Taylors, El Mohammadis are leaving, and there's wage demands that are coming down a little bit, and I think they can start to take a risk is not the word, but I think real gambles a little bit and go out and get a player, scout the market. There's a few players, particularly in Holland, that, a player like Myron Bourdieu, I saw a player in the Euros. I thought he could be really good for us, only 20. Players like that, you may be able to bring over and pay Premier League wages right away and start to integrate them into the squad a little bit more.
Well, they didn't bring in Rob McKenzie to go scour the world for hidden gems for nothing. So I'm with you there. Do you prefer left or right? Does it matter to you in that number 3 position that you're talking about?
Probably left, maybe a right footer who can come in, cut in on the left. Traore seems to be on that right hand side. I'm hoping a bit more consistency from Burt next season. I don't know about you thought, but some games he looks brilliant, and some games he kind of takes plays off and defensively can be a little bit more. But I know Grealish can play there as well, of course, on the left hand. So a lot of this is depending on what's going to go on with him. But I think I think we all know. If we can look towards a time when he's not there, we'll be smarter for it, whether that's this year, 2 years, 3 years down the line. We need to start planning ahead.
What you are saying in essence, though, is that if you're identifying a left-sided player, you may be inferring that Jack Grealish also might be better suited at number 10. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think we could get to that too. That's part of my three answers coming up too. But yeah, we saw Grealish play there in the last game of the season. I think he enjoys that kind of role. I think there's something to be said about the ability to be a little bit more fluid, a little bit more flexible, change it up a little bit. They got a bit too predictable sometimes in midfield last season. So yeah, I like that ability. If you think about it, if you've got two attacking wide players who can run beyond the ball as well, it can really help. Ollie Watkins and Grealish can kind of combine with them. I think that could be the next step for Villa.
All right, so you're number 3, a wide player. Number 2 on the priority list, KJ.
A centre-back. I think they're going to get another centre-back. I love Konsa. I think Mings is more than dependable at times, but I think they've got to get another centre-back to really challenge. We have to understand that Villa were very fortunate with injuries last season for the most part. I love the stability that they were able to bring with a back four of Cash, Mings, Konsa, and obviously, Target. But very often leagues don't allow you to do that. You've got to chop and change. Courtney Horse played, 5 games this season? I think he's a capable player. Engels didn't really get a shot, and it appears that he's probably going to be on the way out. Even though I thought he did okay when he first got his opportunity in a very difficult team. But I think they can try and get a centre-back now. Again, a player that I think they can really take a gamble on, a player that they can think 2 years' time can be our next starter. I think we always have to be thinking at Villa, I think, how can you get better? And also having succession plans to think if a big club in 12 months, which I still think is possible, comes in and says, here's 45 million for Ezri Konsa, suddenly he's gone. Who are we going to replace him with? Well, bang, we've already got a guy we bought, I don't know, Ben White or somebody else last season, and here he is, he's going to be playing for us, or Tarkovsky or somebody like that. So a dependable centre-back that I think can push them to the next level if and when we have to sell or get injuries.
And probably too early for Bogart and Swingles, the young academy recruits. So, in that sense, but do you see a way, KJ, that Aston Villa may line up with 3 at the back, Mings, between both House and Konsa, because they're all natural on the footed side of things? And I was super impressed with Courtney House against Chelsea.
Yeah, he did great, didn't he? I think, he's very calm and composed on the ball. I'm just not sure that I can feel like he can play every game at the level that Villa want to take the next step. I like your point. I think they can play a 3. What I like about that is that you've got players who are left-footed on that left side, so you can easily switch. The good part about a back 3, Pete, is that you can make things and change things as you go. You can actually look like a 3 and sometimes look like a 4. You can push Target forward, push Horse over the left-hand side a little bit, and then it looks like a 4 and then move it into a 3 as well. There's still opportunities for them to do that. The negative on that is their wide players are traditionally wide players. So if you play a 3, you technically wide players are your fullbacks. You've got to try and find a way to play with number 10s. Maybe if you can keep Grealish, and maybe to my number 1 coming up in a second, if you've got 2 number 10s, maybe you can get to that.
All right, so KJ's identified a wide player, a center back, and now the number 1 priority for Villa, if they want to invade Europe this time next year, is?
I think it's a true number 10. I think it's an attacking player from midfield that can really join the play, come in and get you a double-digit goals. There's no surprise to me that they've been linked with, obviously, Smith Rowe's probably not going to happen, but Buendia from Norwich, obviously Pereira from West Bromwich Albion. The player that they maybe a hoped Ross Barkley would be. I was never a big Ross Barkley fan, so I was always, I would have a bit of doubt about Ross Barkley. But I think you've got to get a player where you can say, look, lads, this player is so good that he can play in our midfield 3, even when we're playing the top teams. So he's a hybrid 10-8, but can arrive in the box, get you goals, but will do the work defensively and really put the work in defensively when without the ball. And that's what Barkley refused to do. That's why he's not playing at the Euros. That's why his growth has been stunted for me, because he's a highlight level player. He'll smash a goal in and people think he's a great player, but when you watch him over 90 minutes, you can really see him get found out. And I think those players we mentioned can all do that. And I think, again, building for the succession, if the transitional time comes in when Grealish leaves, that player can still play there as well.
I like it. I think the key for whoever they do bring in is that flexibility of being able to go from left to right to middle. And it seems like the names that they're linked with, because that attacking fluidity, the exchanging of positions is very, very difficult to manage from the opposition standpoint. And then it's just a matter of, are you hard enough worker when you're coming back? And do you know your defensive duty when you're coming back? And I think Villa is capable of doing that. And I think the coaching staff is capable of teaching it. But could you imagine the swashbuckling, the rampaging? If Grealish is the 10 and you've got the player you mentioned on the right, another one on the left, and they can all do this.
Yeah, of course.
Exciting prospect, KJ.
It is an exciting prospect. And I think Smith has worked so hard now defensively, Pete, that you can almost let them fly. I think in midfield, McGinn's worked so well at the double pivot. Yeah, you can push forward, and we'll see that for Scotland in the Euros, that he likes to play higher, but he brings so much power and presence to that midfield that I think it doesn't get talked about enough, that his work rate and quality and intelligence is really elevated. Douglas Luiz, one of my favorite players, I think he's got a lot better because of McGinn in there. Now if we were talking about this and suddenly they lost Douglas Luiz, then I'd be saying, we got to change our priority list here, mate. We got to go out and get another number 6. But right now, as I'm speaking, it looks like hopefully he's going to come back. And I think that they are so solid without the ball, a really good team defensively. And obviously the signings of Cash and Martinez have helped out a lot. But I think that you can allow those front four to have that little bit of freedom, particularly in a lot of the games in the Premier League where, fine margins, you get that big goal, you got to go out there and get that goal. You can be a difference between, as you said, reaching a 6th or a 7th or finishing 10th or 11th, like they were unable to just get over that line and get top half this season.
Now, while we're on the subject of the midfield, you had a soft spot for Marseille and paid close attention to them before they signed Morgan Sanson. And we didn't see the best of Morgan Sanson last year. But how do you rate him, and where is his best position?
I like Sanson a lot. I think he's an 8, and I think he can play in a midfield 3 with Villa. They seemingly did that quite often when Barkley got dropped initially in the initial stages. They played him in a 3. I think the next stage for him is to try and get a little bit more fitness level and strength. Obviously, the Premier League, it's not a cliche, it's just a fact. The strength of the speed of the league is a little bit different. I think Ligue 1 is a terrific league, and I watched a lot of him before. He's a really good player, a really intelligent player between the lines. He's comfortable on both feet. He's just a little bit lightweight at the moment. And I think that with Villa playing a little bit more of a possession-based football technically, I think we will see the best of him. I hope they're patient with him because, as I said earlier, I think he can play in a midfield 3 and likewise also play in a 2. If McGinn's not available, or you want to push McGinn a little bit higher, or you want to play the 3 against the top team, then he's a definite starter for me. And I think we're going to see a lot more out of him next season. I think he's going to be a terrific signing, very technical on the ball. Eye for the pass is sensational. And the front 3 or front 4 that's playing beyond him will be better for him when he's on the pitch.
And maybe one of the most eye-popping stats was his right-footed delivery, which is something that Matty Cash, I think, will evolve to the way Target evolved last year. If Matty Cash grows the way Matt Target did this last year, oh my goodness, because that was one area of Cash's game that I felt was a little bit liable. But Sanson's right-footed delivery into the box, apparently one of the best in Ligue 1 at the time. So you're rating him, and you're saying the best is still to come from Morgan Sanson.
I am. Yes. Let's stay with him. Remember the team, we can't forget it, right? The team that got relegated, it was really bad. It was a horrendous time. I remember going over there. I have to see this with my own eyes, but we did have some gems, Amavi, Veretout. These players have gone on to be very good players elsewhere. And if we could have stuck with them and stayed up, then I think Villa would have been better for it. In the end, it wasn't meant to be Villa's tale, but I think there's lots to be rewarded with the patience of these players, and also giving them an opportunity to kind of just have that role of just coming in and out every now and again, because we haven't mentioned Ramsey either, who's been an absolute terrific find for Villa and just a really elegant player that I love to watch play for us.
Oh, KJ, to hear your voice, to see your face in your library is just, it's soul nourishing. And I really,
likewise, buddy.
I really hope this is not the last visit. Would you mind being a regular periodically?
Let's do it.
Of course, we're going to have to review games as well. So I super appreciate it. Up the mighty Villa, KJ. And thanks
for Villa, mate.
Show.
Always enjoy it, mate. Keep up the great work. Speak to you soon. Great to see your face.
Well, there you have it. Two people, two totally differing opinions on the positions of priority for Aston Villa. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments on today's show. And of course, I'd love for you to like, subscribe, and more importantly, share if you think somebody else might like this content. Still to come on the show, hopefully, a signing to dissect. But I also want to take a very deep dive into why I think Dean Smith, Aston Villa manager, is going to be with the club for a very, very long time. We'll talk about that on future episodes. In the meantime, up the bloody Villa, and cheers.